E3 2018 has come and gone, but there's still one more question left to answer, and that is who had the best press conference? Was it Xbox or was it PlayStation? Well, we're going to answer that right now. What's going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. Now, before I give you my pick on who I thought had the best conference, I wanted to show you guys what you thought about it. I ran a poll on June 12th asking a simple question: who had the best E3 2018 press conference? And overwhelmingly, Xbox won with 80% of the vote, PlayStation with 12%, Nintendo with 2%, and Bethesda or Ubisoft with 6 out of 3,613 votes. Now you might say, Rand, that's a little bit biased. Your fans are mostly on Xbox, and fair enough, that may be true. So there are other people who did other polls, and Reset Era is another one, a big forum, the one that kind of sprung up after NeoGAF burnt down. They ran a poll, and to me, Reset Era has always kind of been pro PlayStation. They don't hate Xbox, but to see Microsoft win the poll there with 46% of the vote really made it seem like Xbox kind of made the turnaround. But even still, Jeff Keighley, he put out a poll as well, and out of 30,000 votes, 51% of the people voted for Xbox. GameSpot, the similar situation, Xbox won there with 34% of the vote, and the live voting that went on during YouTube during all the shows, Xbox won the majority there as well. So you can see, it seemed like the people out there, the people watching, the gamers, even though gamers all win here, Xbox had a great show, PlayStation had a great show, there's tons of great games coming, so in reality, gamers won, but when you had to choose between Xbox and PlayStation, it seems like the majority of the audience that was voting voted for Xbox. And I think that has to do with the fact that Xbox had a lot to prove, while Sony really didn't. Now, let's get into my personal thoughts here, and we'll start with PlayStation. Now, PlayStation had a weird vibe to their show. They said from the very outset that they were going to do something different, and they sure enough did. They brought these people into a like a special room built specifically for Last of Us 2. They called it the Church of Sony, and then of course they showed off The Last of Us 2. The thing here is that Sony showed off amazing exclusives. The reason to own a PlayStation over a Nintendo or an Xbox. And those exclusives did not disappoint one bit. The Last of Us 2 looks absolutely incredible. Looks like a step up from Last of Us and a step up from Uncharted 4. Ghost of Tsushima, if you guys watch my top 13 games of E3, you'll know that I put Ghost of Tsushima at number 1. I was feeling that game. It looked incredible, and I can't wait to play that. And of course, you still had the gameplay for Spider-Man that closed the show, which is coming out really soon. Really impressive, despite the fact that even with Death Stranding, the big four that Sony was touting, was so confusing to me, and I don't like the fact that here we are after seeing 3 or 4 trailers from Death Stranding, and we still don't know what it is. That game's kind of fallen off my radar, and I don't want to hear anything about it anymore until they actually show what the game is about. But PlayStation showed the 3 best games out of anybody. They had the 3 best games at E3. They had Last of Us 2, they had Ghost of Tsushima, and they had Spider-Man. In my opinion, of course, the 3 best. But that's what PlayStation always has done well. You want those amazing single-player, cinematic, AAA action story games, then you better get a PlayStation. And they had an okay assortment of third-party. You had Control from Remedy, which kind of people were really excited about, looked like Quantum Break 2. They had Resident Evil 2 Remake, which looks phenomenal. But the rest of the stuff was just a minute trailer for Destiny 2, a minute trailer for Days Gone, a 30-second trailer for Twin Mirror, a 30-second trailer for Tetris Effect, and honestly, I originally rated this conference an 8 out of 10, and it would be a lot lower if they had continued with that weird style of press conference. And if they had just kind of went with a normal showing, this show would have been a 9 or a 10. It was just that weird beginning where they show off Last of Us 2 and they go to some commentators talking about what you just saw that really deflated the whole show for me. But they kind of redeemed themselves, and yes, they showed the best games. So that's kind of my thoughts on PlayStation. Now, when we go on over to Xbox, they showed more games with 50. They showed 18 games that have some sort of exclusivity and 15 world premieres. There's no doubt that Microsoft showed a better collection of third-party games that will be on every system, yes. And there's no doubt that their exclusives are a little bit slim. But the reason, in my opinion, Xbox One, and I gave it a 9 out of 10, isn't because Ori and the Will-O-Wisps are there, which we knew, and the game looks amazing as always. Isn't because there's a new Halo coming in 2020. Isn't because Gears of War 5 is coming next year, even though that's something that's been hinted at. Isn't because Forza Horizon 4 is coming at the end of this year and is going to be the best racing game, as it usually always is. It's because Microsoft had something to prove to the doubters and the haters out there. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you recall, the lead up to this E3 was make it or break it, make or break for Xbox. So many people were talking about it, that Microsoft needed to prove to people why Xbox needed to be in this console race. What were they going to do to differentiate themselves from PlayStation? Phil had talked about building first party, but people wanted to see actions. So you had a large vocal contingent of people out on the internet saying Microsoft needs to show us. We are no longer just gonna hear words, we need to show it. So Microsoft was on their back foot. They had things to prove, while Sony was just coasting as the market leader. And who can blame them? They have sold the most consoles, they have the best exclusives. But Microsoft needed to prove to people that their commitment is not only for now, but for the future. And during that show, showing the increased Japanese support with games like Jump Force, with Nier Automata coming over, with Kingdom Hearts 3 finally being on Xbox, with the increased spending on first-party studios to make more exclusives down the road. Because that is the one thing people, including myself, have critiqued Xbox about. It's about the lack of exclusive. It's about the lack of first-party content. And of course, Microsoft knew this, and they went and opened their checkbook and acquired 5 brand new studios. One built up from the ground up, The Initiative, being headed by Daryl Gallagher in Santa Monica. They bought Undead Labs, they bought Playground Games, they bought Compulsion Games, and they bought Ninja Theory, proving to everybody that they're in this, that you can count on them, that they've heard people's pleas for varying content and new IPs, and they went out and got that. Of course, now people are saying, hey, it's going to be a while before those games come out. And that's true, games take a while to make. But Microsoft had something to prove to the doubters and the haters out there, and they went out and did exactly that. This was the press conference Microsoft had to nail, and they completely nailed it. The increase in Japanese support, talking about the next Xbox, saying we're not going anywhere, but most importantly, talking about how first party is a definite priority to them, and finally moving from the phase of talking about making first party a priority and actually making it a priority by buying 5 brand new studios. So because of all those factors, because the show was paced impeccably and almost kind of mirrored Sony's 2016 E3, where it was just game after game after game, because of all those reasons, I gave it a 9 out of 10. It would have been a perfect show if Microsoft had shown off a brand new IP, or maybe had a couple extra exclusives that nobody know about. But of course, they don't really have the studios to do that, which is something we knew. But because of all that stuff, they slightly edged out Sony. Yes, Sony showed the best exclusives, and that kind of overpowered the lack of a traditional conference here. But Microsoft proved to everybody out there that they're not going anywhere, that they're in this for the long haul, and that a couple years from now, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And Phil even talked about how the acquisitions may not even be over yet, that they're still looking to make first party better. And you know who wins out of all this? Yeah, Xbox gamers do, but everybody wins. A powerful Microsoft in the video game industry is a great thing, because it's going to make Sony do better things. It's going to make Nintendo do better things. So at the end of the day, the gamers win, yes. But Microsoft won E3 because they needed to. This was the show they had to prove to everybody that they care, and that they've heard all the complaints, and that they're about to change the narrative, and they did that beautifully. Anyways, guys, that is my take on all this stuff. I believe Xbox won. Let me know what you think. Who had the best showing? Who won for you? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Hit the notification bell if you always want to be notified when I drop new videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great rest of the weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later, guys.